Welcome to What's Cooking. I'm Rebecca Warner, the registered dietitian with the Hearts Beat Back Heart of New Ulm project. And tonight we're going to bring in one of our favorite chefs, and he's going to break down one of his great meals that are easy to prepare using some of the local Hy-Vee foods. Hi Mike, thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
All right, why don't you tell me just a little bit about what you're making, where we're going to find these foods, and how we're going to put this together.
Okay, tonight we're going to make a turkey meatloaf. Super easy, few different variations that you can do to it so you can tailor it to your needs at home. The meatloaf itself only takes 2 ingredients. What we're going to use first is a pound of ground turkey.
Now you're going to find that the ground turkey is going to be a little bit leaner, not going to have as many calories per ounce, and it's also going to be lower in cholesterol. So if you haven't tried turkey before, this is a great opportunity. Because you're going to have a lot of different foods mixed in there, you're not going to notice the turkey taste quite as much. And remember, it's not better or worse, it's just different. Anytime we introduce a new food, that's going to be different, so give it a try.
The second ingredient is a roasted apple wheat berry salad. We carry it in the kitchen, and it consists of wheat berries, pistachios, apples, cranberries, raisins, and all we're going to do is dump it in. It's a pound of that to a pound of turkey.
All right, tell us a little bit about your wheat berry salad here. What kind of flavors can we expect? And tell us a little bit about wheat berry.
This one's a little more citrusy, a little savory to it. We use lime juice, parsley, a little bit of salt and pepper. And with the pistachios in there and the wheat berries, it adds a nice little crunch. We cook the wheat berries a little underdone. It's one of those that I prefer it heated up, and it works really well on the meatloaf because the wheat berries are underdone, so when you cook it with the meatloaf, they get a little more tender. With all the fruit that we have in there, they add the extra moisture to the meatloaf, especially since we're using turkey, and that helps prevent it from being dry.
All right, so you're going to see that the wheat berry actually works. If you're making a regular meatloaf, we use things like oatmeal or breadcrumbs, and this is going to be actually your thickener in there that's going to help bind your turkey together. You're going to also notice that he hasn't had any eggs, and so that's going to cut down on our overall cholesterol intake as well. So with the dried cranberries and some of the other things you're going to find in here, you're going to have an excellent taste, and yet we've cut out a lot of those added things that we really don't want. I know in some meatloaf recipes you're going to find brown sugar or other sweeteners, and your fruit is actually taking the place of that in here, so this is good.
We're just going to take a regular loaf pan.
You'll notice that he used the cooking spray. Again, that's going to reduce any kind of calories that we would normally have by greasing our pan with butter or even oil. The cooking spray is going to take it at a 0-calorie level, and that's one more way to reduce the calories in this meal.
I'm just going to press it into place, and after we get it all in there, we're going to throw it in the oven for about 375, and we're going to have it in there for 45 minutes to an hour. And that's really it for the meatloaf.
And remember, Mike, what are we looking for an internal temperature on our meatloaf?
On meatloaf, we are looking for an internal temperature of 165 or higher. And if you don't have a thermometer, I tried it at home in our oven. So like I said, about 45 minutes to an hour. You want to make sure that if you stab the middle of it, you're not going to get any of the pink juices coming out. And that way you know it is fully cooked. You're looking for the clear, transparent juice to come out.
Now you'll see that this is going to be very filling, so this is going to be actually between 6 and 8 portions in your meatloaf. This is an easy recipe, something that you can pick up your ingredients at our local Hy-Vee and really have a nice meal put together. Very low intensity. That was a pretty easy recipe to put together. Easy way to get going for the night.
I always top our meatloaf at home. Regular meatloaf, a lot of people use ketchup or barbecue sauce. What we're going to do, since we have a combination of the fruits and nuts, we're going to do a glaze over the top. We're going to use a cherry jelly. We're going to thin it out with a little bit of orange juice and some cracked black peppercorn just to add a little bit of depth to it. About 15 minutes before the meatloaf's done, we're just going to lightly glaze the top of it, put it back in, and just let it thicken up over the top, and we'll be good to go.
So this is something that you can use in other recipes as well. Sometimes we look at things like chutneys or other ingredients that we put on top of pork chops, turkey, anywhere else that we might need a little bit of sweetness. And so this is going to really be a nice add-in. So what he's adding now is we've had the jelly added, and now you're just adding the orange juice, right? About how much orange juice did you add?
I'm only adding about a couple tablespoons, and same with the jelly, about 3 or 4 tablespoons. It's going to make plenty of glaze just because all we're doing is a little bit over the top. But of course, there's people who like a little bit more poured over afterwards. And all I'm doing is just heating it up in a pan until the jelly comes to a boil, bringing all the sugars together.
So you can actually cook this down to the consistency that you would like. If you like it a little bit thinner, you can take it off earlier. If you want it more thickened up, you just keep boiling it down, right?
Absolutely, just like any other syrup. You just let it boil and it's going to thicken on its own and reduce.
Now you chose strawberry,
Cherry.
but cherry. Could you try other things with this as well, with the cranberry, or is this specific to that?
You can do lots of different flavors, and that's what I like about jellies and preserves, because there's so many different flavors on the shelf that you can use. It's just a matter of picking the juice to thin them out, and any herbs or seasonings that you want to add to it. You know, if you had pork, apricot's really good. You can use an apricot jelly.
Yep.
Thin that down, or you can use the apple jelly. And you can see it's come to a boil. So all we're going to do is just turn the heat off. We're going to let it hang out until our meatloaf's about done, and then we'll glaze the top of it.
All right. As a side note, too, you want to be aware that we only added a small amount of the jelly as well as the orange juice. So if you are following a diabetic diet, this is going to fit well into your plan. Do remember to count the dried fruit that is going to be in the meatloaf, but know that these are going to be spread out over 6 to 8 portions. Therefore, this isn't going to be a high sugar food. So do know that you can still enjoy your glaze. You're just going to watch your portion size. All right, as Mike takes this out, I just wanted to go over and remind you that our Community Health Challenge is in full swing. Make sure you're getting down to our kiosks and weighing in. We do have our quarterly weigh-ins. We're about halfway through if you started your weigh-ins in June, so make sure that you're getting to the kiosk. You'll get your gas coupon from Hy-Vee. You're going to promote weight loss within our community, and we're still working for that $100,000 goal. So if you haven't weighed in, make sure you're stopping down. All right, so your meatloaf, we've cooked it off for about 45 minutes, and now you're adding your glaze.
Yep, I'm just pouring the glaze over the top. I'm going to throw it back in the oven, and then while it's in the oven, I'd actually we'll make a side dish to go with it.
Okay. So that syrup really didn't have to sit long. It looks good, and it's ready to go.
Yep.
As with any meat, we do want to incorporate those vegetables on the side. Following the Mediterranean diet, we're looking for those 7 to 9 fruits and vegetables per day, and I think that's what we have up on the docket. So what is the side we're going to be making?
Side dish I'm going to do is roasted Brussels sprouts with caramelized red onions. I'm going to get the pan heated up with a little bit of olive oil.
Remember, our olive oil is good in mono and polyunsaturated fats. Those are going to bring up our good cholesterol and down our bad. We do want to avoid adding butter or sauteing with any kind of fats, such as butter or lard. Make sure we're taking those out of the diet and in place using the olive oil.
Just going to peel my red onion. I'm going to sliver it up.
And why do you prefer red?
I like red because it's a little bit sweeter. It's not as robust as the other onions. And when they caramelize, they get really nice and sweet, which is what I'm looking for with the Brussels sprouts. The Brussels sprouts are a little bitter, and that's why I roast them too, to pull out some of the natural sweetness of the Brussels sprouts. And a trick I do with the Brussels sprouts is these aren't fresh Brussels sprouts. These are actually frozen Brussels sprouts. And kind of like any other frozen vegetable, they're par cooked already. All I do is thaw them out, because then all I have to do is add them to a hot saute pan, and it takes all the hard work out of the vegetables, so I can roast them versus having to boil them and lose some of the nutrients through the water.
Right. And we know that our fresh and even our canned vegetables are processed so quickly out of the field that we do retain most of our nutrients. So if you're not able to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables, if that's cost prohibitive, or if you don't have them in your local area, feel free to try the frozen or the canned. Be sure to drain off your salt. Although some of our canners, such as Del Monte in our local area, have reduced the amount of sodium in our canned foods. So feel free to use those as well, but just make sure you're getting your fruits and vegetables. So the Brussels sprouts are even getting more green. So we can see the nutrients are coming out of these. You can definitely tell they're great and heart healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And once they start to char up, they just get this nice sweet flavor. It's one of my favorite things. Until last night, I actually grilled carrots.
Oh.
I sliced those up thin and grilled those, and it was almost like a sweet potato because it pulled out a lot of the sugar.
Great.
And those are going to be one of my new favorite vegetables.
Good. So how do we know, what are we looking for with the Brussels sprouts to know that these are done?
What we're looking for is kind of the dark golden brown. Since they are thawed, it doesn't take long to cook them. You just want to start with a nice hot pan. We'll wait for that color, and then we'll pull them off, and they'll be ready to go.
Now, Mike, are some of these recipes available at the Hy-Vee Deli, or is this something that you just made up on your own? Or
the turkey meatloaf is one that I've done at the store before. A variation. We did it as stuffed peppers. You could do it in stuffed squash. There's lots of football games, other games going on right now. You know, you can turn them into meatballs and do different sauces with them that way. And that way you're offering a healthy alternative than the regular old Swedish meatball or the old meatloaf.
Right. That's a great idea. As a reminder, with the Super Bowl and other events coming up, be sure to stop by, get some good ideas, and make just small modifications to the meals you're making now. Like Mike mentioned, instead of having a regular Swedish meatball with a cream of mushroom sauce, find some kind of variation that will have a lot of flavor and keep your entire family heart healthy.
Brussels sprouts are just about done. I'm going to pull the meatloaf out of the oven. We'll get that plated up, ready to go, and we'll pull our Brussels sprouts off.
Great. New Ulm is full of great local resources. If you're unsure how to make any of this, stop by the Hy-Vee Deli and have a visit with Mike. You know, we have so many opportunities within our community to be heart healthy. Make sure you're using all of those resources. Oh, it looks good. You can really smell the glaze, that fruit smell. It's going to change the flavor of the meat, and it's really going to make it a lot more palatable than a regular meatloaf. So we're used to something bland. This is going to add a lot of flavor and really spice it up. You know, as we add the Brussels sprouts, you're going to see we're going to have great color with this as well.
Brussels sprouts are just starting to get the nice color. A little bit of dark brown on them. Don't go too long, so you don't actually want to burn the outside.
There you go. And even if yours doesn't look this pretty at home, we know that it's going to have a really great taste to it. You know, this only took us about 10 minutes. Once your meatloaf is done and cooked, you can go out, you can get your Brussels sprouts done, and have a full, beautiful meal in such a short time. This is a great recipe, Mike, and you're going to be back with the next one.
Absolutely.
Welcome back. Mike is ready for his second recipe. We're going to watch closely because I'm sure we'll have some interesting ingredients in this one as well. What do we have for our next recipe, Mike?
This one I'm going to do a different take on chicken strips. It's going to be gluten-free, and we're going to bake them instead of frying them. That way, keep the fat out. What we're going to start with is almond flour. Essentially, it's just ground up almonds, so they're going to add a nice nutty flavor for us. They're going to give us some of the oil that we need for the chicken strips to crisp up.
You know, this is something that you can find in our local grocers. We got that from Hy-Vee. This is something that even if you're not gluten intolerant, you may want to give a try. Like Mike said, it does have a different flavor than a regular flour. It's going to have a little bit more nutrients and even a little bit of fiber. So if you want to give that a try, it's going to add some really, really distinct flavor to your breading.
The next thing I'm going to add are chia seeds. These are just little tiny seeds and essentially no flavor, but they add a nice little crunch, and they have a lot of omega-3s in them. So it's just something to add to the chicken strips to bring a little bit more nutrients to the meal.
Also with chia seeds, we find that these have a tremendous amount of fiber. They are going to absorb water and expand, and so these are going to help keep you full. You know, chia seeds are becoming more and more popular, and they're going to really add a lot of filler to a lot of your food. So this is not something that can harm you. It's a great food to add in. Like Mike mentioned, it does have the omega-3 fatty acids, which we're looking for to help bring up your good cholesterol and down your bad, and also to replace that saturated fat in the diet. So if you haven't tried chia seeds before, it'd be a great opportunity for you to put them in your recipe.
Some of the seasonings I'm adding to this, just because we do want to season it up. Salt, pepper, garlic. I also used an herb seasoning blend that is salt-free. And then one of my other favorite seasonings is smoked paprika. And if you want to smell, it's got a great aroma to it. And it's just one of those that I find, you know, brings tons of flavor without adding any fats, oils, salt.
That's right. So when you're adding these things like your garlic and things, you want to make sure you're choosing a garlic powder. If it has the word salt in the title, like a garlic salt or an onion salt, that's something that we want to leave on the shelf. It will add sodium into your diet. It's something that can elevate your blood pressure or help with fluid retention. So make sure you're choosing those that have the word powder listed.
Absolutely, and especially when it's easy to make your own. If you buy the garlic powder, the onion powder, you can control how much salt you put in it, and that's all those are. It's just those powders with salt. So why not, just buy what you need and add as little bit of salt that you want to do.
Great.
Breading's all done. What I'm going to do now is just bread some chicken tenders. I got these from the meat department back at Hy-Vee. And these are $3.99 a pound. And what's nice is they're all done up for us. It's just a nice chicken tender, great size, especially for the kids. And if you can hand me that baking sheet there, Rebecca.
Sure thing.
I don't need to spray the pan at all. Like I said, there's going to be some of the oils in the almond powder, and that'll keep everything from sticking. All we're going to do is get these all breaded up.
By changing just one or two in the ingredients in this recipe, you're going to find that these are going to be so much more heart healthy. If you're buying the breaded chicken strips right out of the package in your frozen foods, you're going to find a lot of those saturated fats and usually a lot of sodium. You're going to see that this is going to have a lot more flavor, going to be a lot better for you, and really isn't that hard to do.
No, it's just another easy recipe. And like I said, with games going on right now, instead of doing the regular buffalo wings, why not offer something a little bit healthier? With these chicken strips, we are going to do a buffalo dip for them. We're going to make that with some Greek yogurt. As soon as these are in the oven, we'll show you how to make that.
Now, are these something that you would have available at the store, or do you often make different kinds of things like this, or what should we expect from your deli counter?
The one thing you are going to see from us, it won't be this recipe. The recipe that we are going to start trying to have out a lot is Mediterranean chicken. And what we do there is take the chicken tenders. We lightly have put those in a breadcrumb mixture, and then we saute those and add a lot of grilled vegetables to them. So that'll be one new one that you'll kind of see here at the store. Some other new recipes are going to be coming out, especially in our salad case. Of course, the new year, so everybody focuses on healthy diets. Hy-Vee's no stranger to that, and we're going to stay ahead of the curve. So we're offering new salads like the wheat berry. We also have a few different versions of couscous salads. The one we have at the store is an Israeli couscous salad versus some of the other ones.
Our goal with the Heart of New Ulm too has been encouraging some of our deli managers to make sure that we have salads available that are not mayo-based. I know that's our familiar staple. We see them so often, and it's what we bring to our barbecues and picnics and get-togethers. This is a great opportunity for you to get out, try some of those different salads, and learn some different preparation methods. Remember, mayo is not the only base of every salad. We want to make sure we incorporate our greens, try some different seasonings, and you can really come up with some great tasting food.
The chicken strips are going to go in the oven, 375 again, and we're going to have those in there for 20 minutes. After about 10 minutes, we're going to rotate them just so we can get the other side nice and crispy. While those are going, we're going to work on the buffalo dip. What we're going to start with is one package of Greek yogurt. It is plain. Something different to use as opposed to sour cream.
Right, and we know that our Greek yogurt is going to be high in protein. It's going to have twice the protein as a regular yogurt. It's going to be very filling and lower in sugar, especially since we're using a plain yogurt. This is going to be low in sugar and great for your diet. So give it a try. If you haven't tried Greek, it is one of the newest things out there. Most people are trying them, and you should add it into your diet as well.
I'm just putting that on the stove on low heat. To that, we are going to dice up some green onion.
Now, Mike, you can use both ends of the green onion, right?
Absolutely. I use the whole thing just because why throw it away? Another great thing with green onions, I love them grilled. Throw those onto burgers or brats. They are delicious.
So often we see people use just the bottoms or the whites, take off the roots and use that. But as you can see, you can use the entire onion and you're going to get a lot of flavor. You're going to notice down towards the bottom, they're going to be a little bit stronger and maybe not as strong on the top. You can choose that for your foods and really enjoy the entire produce.
To the yogurt and the green onions, I'm going to add half a lemon.
Now, Mike, if you didn't want to go through the work, could you use a bottled lemon juice as well, or is that going to change your flavor?
You know, to me, people go both ways. There's people that swear fresh lemon. I'm one of those, whatever's handy. At home we usually have a bottle of lemon juice, so I'm not afraid to use it. I wouldn't say in this, what we're looking for is more of the tartness, sweeten up the yogurt just a little bit, and it's going to bring out some of the flavor, because now we're going to add some red hot sauce.
Now again, red hot sauce, as I will always tell you, is to taste. So if you like a lot of hot sauce in this, go ahead and add a little bit more. We don't find any calories or any other things that we're trying to avoid in hot sauce. For my own personal taste, I'd probably use a very small amount. This is going to be just to your family's tasting. If you haven't had Greek yogurt, again, this is a great recipe for that, because you're not going to taste a lot of it. The red pepper sauce, the hot sauce is going to be the predominant flavor in this as well.
And what's nice about the hot sauce, a chubby guy like myself, we need all the help we can get. So hot sauce has capsaicin in it, helps speed up our metabolism. So I get a lot of hot sauce.
Maybe that's been my problem. So now what kind of consistency are you looking for with this?
All I'm doing is getting it down to a consistency, kind of what you're looking here, kind of like a salad dressing.
Okay.
Just something that we can dip the chicken strips in without caking it on there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're definitely not looking for a mayonnaise consistency. It's more of a thin salad dressing.
Great.
All I'm doing here is just heating it up a little, just to warm it up, so that way we have a warm dip versus a cold one for our hot chicken strips.
Okay. Again, this is going to be perfect for game day. You're seeing that you're going to reduce your calories, you're going to offer great flavor, and yet your friends and family are going to give some new ideas as well. Repeating recipes is always a challenge. Make sure you stop back at our website. You can find these recipes at www.heartsbeatback.org, or you can visit Mike out at the Hy-Vee Deli.
If you want to grab the plate there, as with any buffalo wings, you got to have celery and carrot sticks, so incorporate those in. We're just going to do a nice side bowl here.
So it smells hot. Is it a little spicy?
It's a little bit spicy, but once you mix it with the chicken strips, it takes some of the heat off, plus with the celery and the carrots there.
Remember, many of these things can be made ahead of time too. So if you had your dip in the refrigerator, you could heat that up. And as Mike is showing, these really didn't take too long either.
And another thing to do is, some people bake chicken strips, they don't think they get crispy enough. If you cook them halfway, cook them off the day before, get them halfway done, and then the next day, when you reheat them, it'll help get them a little bit crispier for you.
This is a great looking dish. It didn't take long, and yet you're really looking pretty great here. I'm excited to try these with the almond flour. You're going to really have some nice flavor, and maybe I'll just skip the dip. That's it for this week's episode of What's Cooking. Thanks for being here, Mike, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.